How's your heart? On Monday's podcast, we shared with you this acronym for HEART, the Heart of Leadership, this book that Mark Miller has written, and he and I have done some resources around this idea of building a leadership character, not just the skills that you need to lead. All leaders need skills. You need to be able to lead a meeting and communicate and build a team, all those things. But can you really grow your leadership character and become a leader that others want to follow? We gave you a free resource if you listen to that podcast, and I encourage you to go back and do that if you haven't. But that Heart of Leadership Quick Start Guide that we gave all the people who listened, it had these ideas and things that you can do to become a better leader. Well, let me remind you today that you don't just believe your way to high performance, you believe and behave your way to high performance. And so if we take that HEART acronym here for just a moment, remember what they were. The H was hunger for wisdom. The best leaders are teachable. They're trying to learn. They expect the best. There's just this attitude about them. There's this energy about them. They're fired up. They're ready to do great things, and they believe the best days are ahead. They accept responsibility, not just for their actions, but for the actions of those they lead. The R, remember that one? It was respond with courage. They're courageous. They're never comfortable being comfortable. They're comfortable when they're being courageous. And then finally, the best leaders are servant leaders. They think others first. And so we talked about adding value to the people around you. So here's what I want to challenge you to do as we're kind of in the middle of the week and we're thinking about applying what we learned. I hope you've picked a couple of those things, but I want to specifically today ask you to pick one area. Which one of those areas of the HEART, which one is the area that needs the most attention from you today? Is it that you haven't really been teachable lately? You haven't hungered for wisdom. You really hadn't spent any time learning from anybody else. Or you haven't been reading. You just really haven't been pushing yourself to grow. If that's your area, pick that one and say, I'm gonna spend some time this afternoon or maybe tomorrow, and I'm gonna set aside a couple hours. I'm gonna meet with somebody, or I'm gonna pick a book and I'm gonna read and try to learn something. Maybe for you, it's your attitude. Maybe you've just gotten a little negative and critical lately. You've been looking at things just glass half full kind of mindset, and the people on your team, they're feeding off that. There's negativity and there's some criticism going on, and sometimes that's going on inside the team because it's going on with the leader. So if that's your area, I just want to encourage you this week, find something positive, find something to be grateful for, find someone to encourage, set the tone and the pace for your team by being positive. Is it accept responsibility? Is that the area where things not going so well and you're looking for somebody else to blame, somebody else to push it off on? And yet, if it really is your job, you're the leader, I encourage you to go back and assess and say, yeah, that's on me. And so maybe you need to meet with somebody and go take ownership for something that hadn't been happening. Maybe you haven't been training them correctly or whatever. People are accountable, but ultimately you're responsible. And then maybe it's an area of courage right now. You've been, as I said before, it's not that we're asking you to go bungee jumping or hop out of a helicopter. Maybe it's just to go have a hard conversation. Maybe it's to look somebody in the face and say, you're not getting it done. You're not living up to the expectations. We've been clear on this. Maybe you don't even get to be on our team anymore. Sometimes those conversations are really hard, but that's the courage that leadership requires. And then maybe for you, it's just you've been thinking more about yourself lately than you have others. And so it's a think others first deal. And I want to encourage you to make sure that you begin to put the other people on your team first. You think others first. When you add value to others as a leader, you become a lot more valuable. So pick one of those areas this week. Let's get to work on that. Let's dominate again what we can control. And I believe if we start with the heart and we get that right, we become a leader that others want to follow. Remember this, never forget, if your heart's not right, nobody cares about your skills.